So, hey everybody, we're back another week of the Blue Chip Athletic Club podcast. I'm Blaze. We're joined virtually here by Ali Santiago of Sunflower Support. Um, Woo woo. She's a mother of three, military spouse, and somebody that I'm super stoked to have on to chat a little bit about kind of mindfulness in general and then like yoga stuff. I told her she was asking me the other day about preparing notes and doing a bunch of stuff, and I was like, no, dude, it's just gonna be kind of a more of a free flowing conversation. So, Allie, don't worry, you're gonna do a great job. I'm excited to chat.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. On the spot. Got it.
You're not on the spot, dude. You're not on the spot. So, talk to me a little bit. Oh no, you gotta come back. What happened? That might have been
Yeah.
no, there
Sorry.
you go. You're back. You're okay. Um, Talk to me a little bit about you. Give us a little you can go like quick little origin story of who you are and where you're from or
Okay. Sure. Yes. Gladly. Well, I am Alexandria. Well, I go by Allie, but my full name's Alexandria. And I am about to be actually 31 on Monday. Um, and originally from North Carolina. I have interesting fun fact. I have a twin sister, identical twin. A lot of people don't know that. And she lives in North Carolina. And then I kind of grew up with my grandparents. So my grandparents were a really, really big part of my life. And my mom and dad pretty great people. They got married in like 2001, and yeah, I actually really started enjoying like dancing. I thought it was a great way to express myself and I guess release, certain emotions, I guess, that were important for me to understand and navigate towards a little bit better. So I took up dancing. I tried many sports, but failed miserably at most of them. But dance was definitely my choice, and I really enjoyed that. Did that for many years, and I think ultimately that's kind of surprisingly what taught me about a little bit about yoga and meditation, because we would practice some of those things like before a dance class. We would kind of sit and do some yoga stretches and poses and breathing. And that's kind of what introduced me to that whole world. And ever since then, I've I've tried to incorporate that a little bit into my life as best as possible. But I wouldn't say I'm the best at it, even though there are endless, wonderful, many benefits to meditation and yoga, and it should be kind of implemented in different ways. There's like 7 or 8, I think, different ways to meditate. And, yoga obviously is great for cardiovascular health, mental health, clearly. It lowers blood pressure. It's great for mobility and flexibility. And it really helps, decrease anxiety and stress and things like that. Actually, another fun fact, I homeschool my kids for now, but we actually start each day with yoga and breathing exercises, because I'm trying to teach them at a young age, that it's important to implement and understand these strategies and techniques so they can use them even outside of school. And learning at this young of age, I feel like I'm setting them up for later on when they're able to, do it themselves, if they're upset or overwhelmed or just want to relax. I think it's important to be able to do that and be able to, find a calming center that we all need sometimes in the hustle bustle of our everyday life. So we do that every day before school, and it actually is nice and relaxing, and it kind of starts your day off right and positively. And so ultimately, that's kind of the backstory of that, how I got started with that and how I'm implementing it today even. So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. There was like a ton to unpack. I had to start like writing notes down so I could like make sure that I was hitting on a couple of things 'cause I didn't want to forget.
I talk fast.
You kind of like breezed over it, but like I'm interested to know, like when you were doing yoga and this mindfulness practice when you were dancing, like what type of like headspace did it start to put you in? And what was like the benefits that you saw before, I guess activity in general, and then just also in your life when you started doing it from that young age?
Yeah. So 17, I probably 16 or 17 is when I probably started dance and started implementing all that. That was a very that was a very traumatic year for me. A lot of stuff happened. But ultimately, that's when I also noticed like severe anxiety and depression and other things, started manifesting as well. So it actually, to me, it was almost like an escape when I would go to dance class. It was kind of an escape from, home life and, everything else going on to, oh, okay, I can come here and I can, at least breathe for a little bit, kind of release all these negative emotions that I may be feeling. But the teacher that I had was awesome. I'm actually still really close friends with her today. And even after dance was over, we would just hang out with her and we would, just keep dancing, or we would, talk, or, just even do some more, yoga and meditation, because she was really big on that too. She used that, in her everyday as well. But I think during that time, it was just, it was very essential for me, and my mental health at the time. And I think, to me, it was just eye opening. Like, wow, this is really the only thing that is really helping me, understand, what's happening to me at this time in my life. What I'm feeling in the present moment. How to kind of put these, deep, raw feelings on the back burner just for a little bit, so I can, relax and unwind. And so to me, it was an escape. So it was a chance for me to kind of, I guess, um, what's the word? Learn to relax a little bit, learn to kind of calm down and go with the flow a little bit more, since my life was definitely not go with the flow type of process. So I think, yeah, ultimately that's, I guess, what what happened, or what started, or when that began, and why that was important for me at that time. And ever since, and I've just remembered that. So it's always kind of held a soft place for me. Even though I'm not very good at it today. But
Were
that's
you were you like talked through the meditative practice? Was it like how did they just say, hey, sit there in silence? Like talk to me about like how
yeah,
that was,
yeah.
and then how it's even evolved into what you do now with the kids. I'm interested to know.
Oh yes, of course. So yeah, we her name was Karina, our teacher. But she would always put on some like nice, relaxing music, and we'd kind of turn out the lights a little bit. And then we'd all just kind of sit or lay down, whatever we preferred, and we would just take a few moments to just listen to our breathing, focus on our breathing. As we took deep, big breaths in and out. And then after we, did some breathing, we would do just some very relaxing stretches, just to kind of, increase our, flexibility and kind of, stretch out our muscles and stuff before we start dancing. But it was all relaxing stretches. It wasn't, oh gosh, I pulled something, type type of stretches. It was all just kind of like peaceful yoga, easy stretches. Like about that probably lasted for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we just get started. And it's funny because I've used some of those same practices today with my kids when we do our thing at school. We'll just start off, sitting, and I'll tell everyone to just, let's focus on our breaths. If we take deep, big breaths in and out, because my Letty, the middle child, I've noticed us starting to develop a little bit of anxiety too. And so I think that really helps her, get her day started a little bit better, and kind of helps her with her anxiety, calm her down a little bit. And so we'll do the breathing, and then we will start our stretches. We'll stretch up to the sky, and then I'll tell them, let's touch our toes. And we'll count to 10 with each stretch. So, we're getting a good 10-second stretch in. And then you will go to the side, stretch to the side. And then we'll do stretch out our fingers. We'll do our like downward dog pose. We'll do, let's see, we'll stretch out our legs and our arms and roll our head and shoulders. And I think that's all the stretches we do. And then we'll shake it out at the end. Um, and they like that part. And then we'll get started on our day. So it's kind of funny because I've carried a little bit of that on to my own practices with my kids. So it works, seems to work really well for everybody before we start our day.
Yeah, have you seen any effects of like, hey, on a day maybe that you don't do it, have you seen a change in, whether the kids are more or less attentive when they're at school or energy
Yeah.
levels? Like, I'm curious to know, like, are those things something that you notice from, an objective source who's teaching them, on a daily basis?
Yeah, no, so Gabe is very routine based. So we will not miss it because if we miss the stretching or breathing, he'll let me know, and we cannot start our day. He's like, no, we gotta do breathing and stretching because he's like me. We have a very strict like routine during the week. Weekends very easy, flexible, but during the week we we try not to miss it because I do notice a shift in temperament, I guess, especially with Gabe. I think that tremendously helps him too, because I do think he does have a little bit of ADHD, which hard for him to focus. But when we do our stretches and breathing, it's funny because he enjoys that. You can tell he enjoys it, and he does each stretch, and he does the breaths with us. And so I think that kind of goes to show that I do think it really works for him to kind of helps him reach a more calmer place, inside his head because it's constantly going and spinning and all over the place. So I think in that moment, it does kind of calm that down a little bit and slows everything down. So I do think that helps us tremendously, especially with Letty, like I said, because she has a little bit of anxiety. So I always notice she's a lot more calmer when we finish and she's ready to get started on our learning day and whatever we're doing that day.
Yeah, cool. I
Yeah.
I like it's kind of a good segue. So Gabe is partially autistic, and Allie, and I am just gonna give very broad strokes. I'm gonna let you kind of expand on it because I'm really excited to hear you talk about it.
Okay.
You started, from what I understand, a support network, which is Sunflower Support for that, and then also you've written books about
Yes.
like that as well and parenting with that. So I would
Yes.
love to hear a little bit more about that and hear you talk about it because Ricky,
Okay.
her husband, works with me, and I've been able to hear him talk very fondly of all the things that you've done for that like space and that community. But I'd love to hear like kind of your take and what spawned that too.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So yes, I wrote the Boy and His Drum book series. There's 3 books out now. I would love to write a 4th one if I can find the time, because I do have an idea for the 4th one, but it hasn't come out yet. But yes, it's the Boy and His Drum, the Boy and His Drum, and the Not So Good Day, and then the last one is a Christmas one, the Boy and His Drum and the Family Visit. So what initially started that was when Gabe was diagnosed with autism around 2nd birthday. Um, and as soon as he was diagnosed, I just noticed this like innate passion that I had to just spread more awareness about autism. I had very minimal knowledge about it. Going to school, in the psychology field, I did, learn briefly on it, but it never went into full detail. And, it's still being studied today. But and as soon as, he was diagnosed and I had a feeling that was what was going on, that's the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to do whatever I could to help him, but also help the world around him as well, understand him a little bit better, um, understand autism a little bit better, but especially from a kid perspective, because I think a lot of time kids don't understand or don't have knowledge either about what autism looks like because it's such a wide, broad spectrum that it looks different for each kid. And if you were to look at Gabe or be around Gabe, you probably would never suspect it. But at one time, he was nonverbal. He didn't speak. And he had pretty bad meltdowns and things like that. And he still does, but he's, worked through that, and he's getting a little bit older. And we've worked so hard with him that I think, he's able to communicate a little better. But initially, that's what started the Void in His Drum. It's basically just talks about self-inclusion and awareness, but about this little boy who carries a drum with him everywhere he goes and plays his own music. Kind of goes to the phrase, he bangs to the drum of his own. Oh wait, he bangs to the drum of his own. He dances to his own to the beat of his own drum. I'm sorry. He dances to the beat of his own drum. So that's the thought that kept going through my head. Like, I need to write a book that tells about a boy who has autism, and who bangs his drum, takes it everywhere with him, and he plays his music. He doesn't care what anyone else thinks, but everyone hears this music and they think and wonder, why is he listening or playing his drum everywhere and taking it everywhere and just playing it and dancing to it? But then in the end, they end up dancing along with him, and it kind of paints multiple pictures of, oh, well, I'm not understanding of it now. Why is he doing this? Why, is he like this? But in the end, like, oh, wow, so he's happy. He's doing his own thing. He's just like me, but he's having fun. I'm gonna dance with him. So it goes to show, them coming together and showing that inclusion happening, that any mom with a kid on the spectrum wants is their kid to be included and accepted everywhere. And that's my biggest fear. It still is. But ultimately, hopefully, that's what these books hopefully show and help for kids. And the second one's the Not So Good Day. It's about emotional regulation. So learning to understand emotions, especially with kids on the spectrum. They have a little bit more of a complex time, not only navigating through those emotions, but communicating those emotions as well. So it kind of talks about, he loses his drumstick, so he can't play his drum. So he's very upset about it, and he can't find it, and so he's looking everywhere. But he realizes, in the end, all he needs is to listen to the drum in his heart, and that helps, and he can still play his own music. He doesn't need
Dude,
his drum.
spoiler alert, dude. Come on.
Sorry. But you don't know, it's a rhyming book, so it's kind of a nice rhyme. So it's if you guys do get it, or I can always bring it over sometime. But it's all of it's rhyming, and it's a kind of a nice little rhyme for kids. But in the end, he does end up finding it, and in the end, I have like some learning self-help tricks for emotional regulation and teaching your kid about emotional regulation. So some tools at the very back page. And then the family visit is about a lot of kids struggle on the spectrum with I guess socialization, being able to be around large groups of people, kind of going against their routine that they're used to. And so this one talks about his mom's getting ready for big Christmas, festivities with family, and they're coming over, and he's very upset about it. And so he kind of goes and does what he wants to do and loves to do, and what calms him, which is playing his drum. And his family comes over and they hear it, and then he ends up playing it for the family. And I'm not going to spoil anymore, but it just goes to show that the family welcomes him and loves him for who he is as well. So all that just kind of into one big message of love and awareness and acceptance and understanding of autism. And the Sunflower Support Group is actually for people with OCD and other related disorders, because I'm diagnosed with a contamination OCD. A lot of people don't know that. I try and keep it on the down low, because it's not something I'm very proud of, but it's something that is a part of me, and I'm learning to accept it and live with it. But it has been very difficult. So
Can you, before you go too far down, Allie, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Can you explain what that is? I'm not super familiar. So.
Yes. Contamination OCD, or OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. So obsessive compulsive disorder, like autism, is a wide variety. People can obsess over, let's say, flipping a light switch off and on, because it satisfies this urge that they need to fulfill in their head. Or let's say, for instance, mine is contamination OCD. So I'm terrified of germs and something that can make us very sick. And so I do what I can to eliminate germs, like hand washing, frequent hand washing, so much that, it really dries out my hands. Or some other people suffer from limerence, which is obsession of other people. Um, or it can be anything, obsession over existential OCD, which is obsessing over where do I belong? Who am I? Am I really, who I think I am? Or let's see, you can have OCD over having things in a particular order. So everything has to be in a certain manner or way for you to feel satisfied, to relieve those feelings of anxiety. Because if you don't fulfill it, it creates those feelings of panic and anxiety, and they look kind of similar. But OCD is a very complex mental health disorder. But it's I created this group because I feel like there's not enough support to help with people with OCD. And I was in a Facebook support group, and there was probably like 2,000 of us in there, and they deleted it, and no one had anywhere to go. And so I felt led to start my own group, and I did. And we have about 35 people in there, and we try and do like monthly virtual visits, kind of like this, kind of just to talk and see how everyone's doing. And we're just kind of there for each other, validating each other, and kind of talking openly and freely about what we're going through. And it's crazy because everyone in the group has different forms or themes. It's what it's referred to of OCD. So they all look different. And so we're just kind of there for each other, to support each other, love each other, understand each other. And it's been life changing, not only for me, but for, all these other friends that I've made, because we all feel like we can come here together and be there for each other, through a very hard disorder. So that's ultimately what what Sunflower Support is and what it's created for. And yeah, we're actually probably going to do a visit next weekend, so just to kind of check in on it.
Yeah,
So,
that's super cool. I was not familiar with what your style of OCD was. I know blanketly kind of about it, but I don't know enough to be like, oh yeah, be able to spin off a bunch of different like styles. So I appreciate you for
yeah,
kind of going into those and informing me about, that type of stuff. And in that same vein too, I was talking to Ricky about Gabe at one point at work, and he actually put me on to the book The Reason I Jump, which
yeah,
I'm sure that you know a lot about too, and maybe I can have you talk about it a bit more. But essentially, to open up my eyes of being like, what is it like to have this? And then more importantly, like, how is it so difficult to communicate? Because you kind of glossed over it, and I want to like put a pin on how crazy it is that you guys had a nonverbal child that you, through your effort and understanding like autism and ways to communicate and ways to like kind of get this done, like you have found a way to bring him out of that and then have a life where he is speaking, interacting, and having that. So like, first off, that's incredible. And then secondly, like, talk to me about how like the communication has been, and like, maybe even a little bit of like the reason I jump, and then
yeah,
the space in itself. And then we can definitely leave some of the stuff about Sunflower Support in the comments too, because I think it'll be super great for people if they end up seeing this at some point to be able to join that group.
yeah, absolutely. I would love that. No, that sounds great. Yeah. So the reason I jumped is also on Netflix. It's a documentary, and it's oh my gosh, it is beautifully done. Me and Ricky watched it maybe like 2 years ago, and it was we were both crying, but it kind of touches the book, and it's about a boy from Japan who was autistic. He was about a 13-year-old autistic teen, and it was through his perspective, his eyes, what autism looks like and how he perceives the world. And it talks about hey, this could be why, your child who is on the spectrum is doing this. It kind of helps parents who have kids on the spectrum understand their child a million times better. Um, and ultimately it tells, that they're learning just as you are about how to, I guess, live in a world that's not exactly accepting of autism, but how to best blend in, I guess. But also, it teaches you that they shouldn't have to do that, that we should all be more open and understanding to people who have different abilities, and not see it as a disability, but just that, a different ability. And it's a book. I know we have it on our bookshelf somewhere. I
Yeah.
don't know
The
exactly it
other
is.
thing too
Oh,
that is unique about it is like that kid is nonverbal from what I
yeah,
understand, right? So like the kid who
was
wrote the book, like it was nonverbal and then has
like
basically like documented it. And from what I understand from reading the book, he was like incredibly young.
he
So he
was.
was like literate and like finding ways to communicate. And he found like he was writing in like script, like
Yeah,
Japanese script, like
mhm,
the messages of what he like wanted to get across. So super
yeah,
interesting. Definitely would recommend like anybody who's interested in learning more. And even like I don't have anybody super close to me until I'm at the Santiagos who have somebody in their life that is on the spectrum, but I thought
yeah.
it was like really, really cool and unique and kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain and you're like, huh, there is kind of like a rhyme to the reason of I guess
Mhm.
the reason why he jumps when he gets excited and that's his way to like release
Yeah,
emotion. I
right,
thought it was pretty cool. So
right. Oh yeah. It's very beautifully, depicted from his perspective, and it definitely paints a beautiful story. And what a lot of people don't understand too is people on the spectrum use actually more of their brain than the average person. And this is still being studied too, but um so they see things in detail that we don't. So like if we're looking at a flower, they're looking beyond the flower, like they're looking to see um what's under the flower, or what's supporting the flower. Like they're noticing all these little different details that we would not casually just encounter upon. We would just see the flower for how it is, but people on the spectrum really do see things from a way deeper lens. And so I think that's been one of the most highlighting parts for me being Gabe's mom, because I can't see from his perspective, but he almost helps us to see it, or he tries to show it to us. But he's the smartest kid I know, and he took a huge liking to books from early on, because I loved reading to him, and he just loved it. He caught a love for it, so he just kept reading, and now he reads like full chapter books, and he's 6 years old. Um, and I think ultimately that's contributed majorly to his communication, being able to communicate. And then the homeschooling thing, I do think has helped tremendously, because I do believe that he's getting, for now, a better education with me than he would in a school setting, that may or may not be the best for people with special
that's
needs.
it. Maybe not to toot your own horn, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, later on though, I already told Ricky he's going to be way smarter than me. So middle school, they will go to school because outsmart me. So yeah, so
I I'm curious like, almost hearing all these things that you do and like the way that like your family is and kind of it to me sounds like it can be something that is, stress inducing being a mom who's a mother of three first of all,
yeah.
where your husband's at work all the time, homeschooling three kids, juggling
Mhm.
all those things and then you're also on like a health journey to a degree, writing
Yeah.
books, you have a support group that you kind of like manage. So like I kind of want to tie this back into like that yoga slash meditative slash whatever your kind of thing is that you do. I'm curious like how and what have you done to incorporate some of that now into your life so that you're able to make sure that you have the time and space for yourself because it seems like it could be a lot.
Yeah, that's the issue now, is I'm still learning what that looks like for me, because unfortunately, hi baby, I don't get that time normally. but that's only because I think Raylan is at an age right now where she's just very mom, everything mom. She's still like doesn't sleep that great, she's still in that transition between, like being a little bit more independent, but still really relying heavily on mom. So unfortunately, I just from the beginning just put everything into my kids to the point where maybe it's a little unhealthy, and I'll be the first to admit that. There's to the point where I feel like me and Ricky neglect each other, or I'm not putting, like you said, that time for myself to practice those strategies that used to help me, and I think would continue to help me if I took a little more time for it. But I plan on doing that. It's just I'd be a hypocrite if I said, hey, do this when I'm not exactly, or this is helpful for you when I'm not exactly doing it myself right now. I try to do it at nighttime.
You are doing it
Uh,
yourself. You're doing it yourself in the morning with the kids every single day,
yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true. But for me time, my own alone time, it doesn't happen it's very far and few between. But actually on my birthday, I'm taking a drive by myself. So that'll be cool. To pick up a cake. So that'll be
There you
nice.
go.
And I'm actually trying to get a massage. So maybe that I'm trying to like do a few more self-care practices, because I think that will help me, take on, me a little bit more and do those things, make that time a little bit more easier for myself by practicing self-care first, doing little small steps, and then, getting there. But I, I'm still learning. I'm still
Yeah.
learning.
Aren't we
Um,
all?
yeah.
I want to kind of tie this in, and then I'll let you go, of like how has the journey so for those of you that don't know, Allie's working with us at Blue Chip here. What's up? There he is, the man, the
There
myth,
it
the
is. He's gay.
Gabe.
I want to say hello.
Um
Sorry, he doesn't
that's
like wearing.
okay. You can say hi.
Say hello.
He's busy. He's
Hello.
busy with that sweet hairdo. What's up, dude?
Okay, I'll get my juice.
Now you get
There
a
he
visual
goes.
representation of gay.
There you go. He's on and then he's off.
Yeah.
I just want to talk through a little bit like what has it meant for you from like a holistic health standpoint of kind of like working with us, and what things have you kind of learned to take away kind of as you move forward, whether that's like physically, mentally, emotionally, kind of anything that you have to pass along about how the program's been for you.
I think ever since me and Ricky have started this program with you, we've noticed just a huge difference in all areas of our life. Obviously, physically, we've never felt like healthier, stronger, but also it goes beyond that. You and Chelsea and everyone else in the group are, mentally there for us, and you don't find that a lot in these other you know places. But you guys genuinely care about us and how we're doing, not just from a physical standpoint, but throughout all areas and aspects of our life. And I think that tremendously has helped me, because it's hard to form community when I'm constantly with my kids, and so I think that's been really helpful to actually branch out a little bit and be a little bit more social, and meet some friends, like you guys, that are very kind and caring. And I think that has been great socially, mentally, having like that accountability, but also having people who are literally gonna, be there for you if you need to talk to somebody, or having that invitation available to you. It helps more than, especially someone who does have mental health disorders, which, is probably more people than not nowadays. But ultimately it helps full circle of your entire life. So I think me and Ricky have noticed just a tremendous difference, and it's we become, I feel like, happier, obviously healthier, but just more versions of ourselves that we've wanted to reach. So I thank you for that. I thank Chelsea for that. I think Blue Chip Athletic Club for that, because it's been definitely life changing for sure in every way. So you've taught us a lot about different things, strategies that we can implement, like how to stretch and different foods we can eat to be healthy, and just different practices we can do, like the cupping and the different breathing exercises we can do. That's just, like I said, every aspect you guys have covered. So I love that. And you guys do an amazing job. So just,
Yeah, we appreciate it. I just wanted to see kind of what your thoughts were, and obviously why I had you, just to kind of chat. And then, if anybody else is eventually listening to this and wants to join us, definitely fill out a coaching application. We've got those available on our page to be able to work with us. But Allie, I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so much for talking openly about, topics that a lot of people don't get a ton of exposure to in the form of, OCD stuff, mental health stuff, being a parent of someone who is definitely, a challenge for a parent as well. And then all the work that you've done for all those communities too. It's super awesome.
of course, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to help. We need more openness with conversations that are hard to talk about. So it's important, for people to have a safe place to go and talk to. So it's important to discuss.
Yeah,
But thank you.
totally. Absolutely. Anytime. All right, you guys, that's all I kind of have. Let me know.